When most of us hear of the word burn, we're thinking of a thermal injury like a fire or a cooking injury, but there are many different types of burn causes. The number of injuries is fairly constant, but they are often can be very significant. And so bringing the awareness, if we can prevent or reduce the occurrence of these burns happening by even a small percentage, it'll be a win for the campaign.
It was recognized back in the mid-70s that there was a need for a burn unit in the provincial capital. So a group of firefighters actually got together and approached the burn unit, or approached the University of Alberta Hospital and said, if we start fundraising for you, will you open up a burn unit for us? It actually opened up as an 11-bed unit because of the financial support by the firefighters. And we've been supporting it ever since. The Firefighters Burn Treatment Society has donated over $12 million to support research, treatment, and recovery at the University of Alberta Hospital Burn Unit. And that's why we're here. That recovery and that the treatment side of it is hugely important to us firefighters.
We'd like to focus specifically on contact burns, which are burns that happen when people come in contact with hot or cold surfaces. In this current weather and climate, as you can imagine, frostbite is a big problem at this time of year. We've seen an increase in the number of cases that we've had this year versus last. So last year, at the end of February, we'd had about 15 major frostbite cases, and this year we already have 17. Often people get frostbite when they're in an environment that they can't get out of, or if they're unprepared for the weather. And so I think because it's been a lot colder a lot sooner, we're seeing people who weren't expecting to run into those sorts of conditions. So I think the big problem to remember is that it's not necessarily how absolutely cold it is, it's all about how prepared you are for how cold it is. So obviously as it warms up, we like to go outside in our t-shirts and celebrate good Canadian winter. But the reality is to remember that it's not just about how absolutely cold it is, but how cold it is over the long term when you're outside and exposed. One of the big problems with frostbite is that you actually get small blood clots that block off the blood flow to the fingers. And so if you don't do anything about that, that person ultimately will end up with finger amputations. If we can get those small blood clots to dissolve, then we can restore blood flow to the fingers. And if we can do that within 24 hours of injury, there's a good chance of saving some or all of the fingers, whereas before that person would go on to amputation.
I went out snowmobiling as a family little trip for the weekend. We stopped in Bruderheim for a quick bite to eat, and I was fully dressed, snow pants, layered up and everything, and just a little bit rushed. I didn't put my snow pant all the way over my leg, and on the way back it dropped to -32. So during that time on the snowmobile, my pant leg rolled up my leg and my skin was exposed. So when I woke up the next morning, I had a huge blister on right above my right ankle. And so we went to the University of Alberta Hospital, and they didn't know what it was at the time, so the best thing they could do was to drain my blister before it cut circulation off my foot. And after time, they told me I had 3rd-degree frostbite. I get a lot of people that ask me what happened, what is that, why does it look the way it looks and everything, and I just say, I guess frostbite, it's a scar. It's no different than someone getting a cut, right? It's a scar that tells maybe a little bit more of a story. I would say put on the mitts, put on the toque, put on the snow pants, because you might look silly to others, but you're going to protect yourself in the end.